Here we have the teardown of a Fujifilm F150 camera. This is a camera that I received in 2008, so it's been about 16 years. The picture started being a little fuzzy, and I started getting an error saying that the lens control wasn't working anymore. So I decided to take it apart and take a look at it. Here you have the screen. So this is what you see on the back of the camera as you're operating it. So if you turn this back over, you have the touchpad and everything. This comes off. There's a zip cable here and another one over there. This is your shield that goes on top of this, and then you have the first of two motherboards. This one actually goes on top of this motherboard, which is actually in the body of the camera. This motherboard is actually held in place just by one screw here. And if you take this off, then this piece, this little standoff, falls out. So if you have a Fuji F150 film camera and you want to take it apart, just be aware of that, it'll fall off. Anyway, this shows you the right orientation. And then all the screws I have in the right orientation. This little bit is what you plug the AV cable into. I've actually lost the AV cable that goes into there. And this is what I believe is the issue. So if you're getting a lens control error, this is probably what you want to be looking at. But this is a little tricky because it's soldered in all over the place. So you kind of have this soldered cable that's restricting access to actually the innards of the lens assembly, which makes it very, very difficult to take apart and troubleshoot. Even to remove dust from it is almost impossible, unless you want to deal with unsoldering all of these, which is possible. I could unsolder all of these connections and take it out, but a camera like this, the Fuji F150, goes for about $10 or $20 on eBay. And that's in perfect working condition, by the way. So this is more of just a hobby project than anything else. So I've taken it apart. I'm going to put it back together in stages, and I'll take photos along the way so you know I'm kind of doing the reverse of a disassembly. I'm reassembling it, but you'll have an idea of how this all comes together. Here I've reinstalled the lens assembly, and I've actually hooked up the first motherboard, the top motherboard, to the bottom motherboard here. There's just a little cable that connects right in there. Something else to add, when you're putting in the lens assembly, you want to make sure you put in the middle ZIF connector first. This just makes it a little easier, and then these two have a little bit of a longer cable, and you can put that in afterwards. I'm already starting to find it a little tricky which screw fits in where. So if you're doing this, make sure you know or take pictures. So anyway, this is the top motherboard, and I'm trying to put it in. I want to show you guys how this works. So the speaker here actually fits in this little nook on the side, and it's magnetic, so it's sticking to my tweezers here, but it actually fits in that little nook right there. So the speaker fits in that little nook, and then it's taped down to this black surface. And this motherboard actually has a connector, a straight connector. It's held by 3 screws. One screw here, another screw there, and then there's a standoff. The standoff is right here. The standoff goes right in that hole. And this whole assembly actually clicks into the bottom. So if I can show you guys here on the bottom, see that little connector right by my thumb, under where my thumb is. And there's a corresponding connector on the top motherboard. So you just snap it right in. You snap it right in. And there we go. So I've snapped it in. I've put in the 3 screws. There were the 2 screws and the standoff, which you can see right there. And then I've put the speaker back in its little slot on the side and taped down the 2 leads. And here's how the shield fits in. You can actually just lift this up. It's just a piece of plastic that, or metal, that just fits right in, and the screw holes line up nicely, as you can see. Got a few of my finger smudges on it. But I just put that in to show you how it fits, because before you put this in, and it helps if I flip it around, before I put that in, you really want to make sure that you connect these connectors first. Actually, this there's a little notch. So this shield kind of fits around that zip connector there. Bottom line, just make sure you match these up with these connectors and fit everything back in. You don't want to crimp any of these cables or stretch any of them. And here we go. So I've put on the screen, I've connected the zip cables inside, and the shield is in place as well. So you're going to look something like this, where you have, so I'll walk you through the rest of the screws that I have. These 4 screws go right in here, and you can see where the 4 screws go into. On this side, you have the 2 small screws and the 2 big screws, and that goes right in here. And then on the other side, just 4 large screws, which I have right there. And these 2 screws are also on this side, for a total of 6 screws on this side. So let's put it all together and test it out. Just a quick note when you're putting this in, so you want to take this apart first. You don't want to put it in all together. You want to take it apart. Almost dropped it there. Not good. And hold on, let me show you once it's all in place. Before I do that, these 4 screws, you want to make sure that they're in first. And then that leaves you with 2 other screws, one on top, one on the bottom, which fit in nicely for here, one on the top, one on the bottom. So long story short, just these 2, make sure it's taken apart and put the 4 screws in first. And from the side, you can see there's a hook. There's a little hook on this thing. So you want to pull it down and then hook it in and push it up. Oh, and the bottom screw here is a tri-wing for some reason. That's the only tri-wing screw there is. All the other screws are Phillips screws. I misspoke. There are 2 other tri-wing screws on the bottom. But here we go. So I have this all put together. We have our memory card, we have our battery. I'm going to put this in, and I have to do this with one hand, unfortunately, so I'll power it up and let's see what we get. As I boot this up, I get date, time, not set. I think I'll just say okay. Okay. Good. All right, so let's switch over to macro. Okay, so it looks like the lens issue is resolved. So the error's not coming up now, but before you'd see a red error message, and who knows, it might come back later, right? But at least for now, it works fine, where it would say lens error or lens control error, and it wouldn't let you take any photos. So it looks like right now that maybe just taking it apart, clearing out some of the dust, and this $20 camera is worth a lot more 16 years ago, but seems like it has a few more years left in it. So thanks for watching.